Earn more, save more, invest more, and give more. In today's video, we're looking for opportunities in areas that we haven't discussed with you before, namely Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining, and advanced energy software. We're not financial advisors, so we're just sharing with you some information and what we are doing. This is not investing advice. Always make sure and do your own due diligence. My simple thought for you today comes from one of our Twitter followers. Muskie's Twitter profile says, "Make a note of the people who helped you during your darkest times. Treasure them for the rest of your life." Wow, that's just some great advice, and I wanted to share it with you. Shout out to Muskie. This is the MoonShot Money channel. I'm Chase Vickers. Are you ready? Let's go. Don't forget to follow us over on Twitter at MoonShot Money 1. We would really appreciate it if you gave us a thumbs up down below too. If this is your first time watching one of our videos, welcome. To the rest of you, welcome back. If you're like us and 99% of everyone else, we don't really understand Bitcoin or Bitcoin mining. Simply Google Bitcoin and read all your heart desires. We aren't really going deep today. What we do understand though is the rising value, but Bitcoin is incredibly volatile, as we've seen a 20% decline in the last few days. At this time, we have just 1.5% of our portfolio in Bitcoin. But to be honest with you, we wish we had bought a lot more when the price was under $5,000 just last year. As of this filming, it's around $32,000 and it's up over 300% the past 12 months. We have no one to blame but ourselves for not buying more. I have no problem with admitting we don't fully understand what's coming around the bend with Bitcoin, but you can't argue with what's been currently happening either. Mainstream companies like PayPal and Square have moved into Bitcoin this past year, giving it much more credibility. Other companies like MicroStrategy are moving their cash into Bitcoin, which seems risky, but I'm sure Michael Saylor knows what he is doing. At least I hope he does. When, not if, but when one of the FANG stocks moves their money into Bitcoin, it's going higher. Let's say Apple installs crypto wallets on their new iPhones or software updates that integrate Bitcoin into Apple Pay somehow. You know that the price is going to go higher. If Apple moves first on Bitcoin, then Google will pay more, and then Amazon will pay even higher, and on and on and on, no matter the order. In other words, if one of these monster companies will jump first at Bitcoin, then the rest will be forced to follow, and their catalyst will drive the price much higher. Bitcoin is like digital gold in many ways. Like gold, Bitcoin cannot simply be created. It requires work to extract. While gold must be dug from the ground, Bitcoin must be mined with computer mining machines. Investopedia gives us this insight. Bitcoin also has a stipulation set forth from its source code that it must have a limited and finite supply. For this reason, there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins ever produced. On average, these Bitcoins are introduced to the Bitcoin supply at a fixed rate of 1 block every 10 minutes. In addition, the amount of Bitcoin released in each of these blocks is reduced by 50% every 4 years. The Bitcoin mining process rewards miners with a chunk of Bitcoin upon successful verification of a block. This process adapts over time. When Bitcoin first launched, the reward was 50 Bitcoin. In 2012, it halved to 25 Bitcoin. In 2016, it halved again to 12.5 Bitcoin. And on May 11, 2020, the reward halved again to 6.25 Bitcoin. This effectively lowers Bitcoin's inflation rate in half every 4 years. The reward will continue to halve every 4 years until the final Bitcoin has been mined. In actuality, the final Bitcoin is unlikely to be mined until around the year 2140. On Robinhood, you can buy Bitcoin in small amounts, say just $10 or $50 worth. With your money being fiat or government-issued currency that is not backed by a physical commodity like gold, it's probably a good idea to have some Bitcoin in your portfolio. Some financial advisors are recommending 1% of your portfolio. Again, we're at 1.5%, but you have to decide for you. ARK Invest's Cathie Wood recently made another bold prediction. this time for Bitcoin like she did for Tesla many months ago. Many thought that she was crazy with a $4,000 price target on Tesla, but with the $800 plus current price and a 5-for-1 split, we are there. So, what did she predict for Bitcoin? The increase in institutional investors getting involved in Bitcoin is where Cathie Wood sees the price increasing further. She said it reminds her of the early days of institutions beginning to make small allocations to real estate in emerging markets. She said those allocations started at 0.5% and then rose to 5%. If, and it's still an if, institutions allocated mid-single digit amounts to Bitcoin, it would take the price to a range of $400,000 to $500,000. That's hard to believe that it could actually happen, isn't it? You should look up Cathie's comments right here on YouTube and take a listen. We just have to mentally process that there will be only a supply of 21 million Bitcoin, with 18.5 million currently in existence. And I also read the other day that 78% of all Bitcoin is not for sale. Okay, now let's take a look at another company called CleanSpark, ticker symbol CLSK. Here's a very intriguing stock. The price has risen 133% in the last month, 237% in the last quarter, and 650% in the last year. The market cap is $550 million. What's going on with CleanSpark? From their investors presentation, CleanSpark has doubled their annual revenues for 3 consecutive years. That's hard to do, folks. Preliminary revenue of $10 million for the fiscal year ended 2020 and increased from 122% from $4.5 million in 2019 and expects to achieve $100 million in annual revenue in under 5 years. So what do? CleanSpark offers advanced energy software that makes microgrids happen. Okay, so what is a microgrid? A microgrid is a localized group of electricity sources and storage or batteries that normally operate connected to the traditional grid. A microgrid can also disconnect to an island away from the traditional grid as an economic or physical conditions dictate. A microgrid is a smaller version of the larger traditional electrical grid, which is generally controlled by a local or state energy or power company. The traditional electrical grid exists to supply our electricity based on demand. In practice, a microgrid works in the same way, just for a smaller location or a geographic area. A microgrid might serve a local community, commercial building, small business, or even an estate home which may have a higher power usage or issues a power loss due to weather or environmental issues concerns like fires. As the global economy faces an aging electric utility grid, the power sector seeks more efficient and more reliable alternatives to producing and storing energy. A growing number of renewable energy sources and advancements in technology are driving steady investment into solutions such as microgrids and their applications. Defense installations, industrial complexes, communities, and campuses across the world are turning to virtual power plants and microgrids as a means to decrease their reliance from the grid, utilize cleaner power, and enhance energy security and surety. Have you ever heard of blackouts or say brownouts? Sure you have. It's something everybody should be aware of and are looking for solutions to. The global market for microgrids is rapidly expanding. According to Navigant Research, the global market for microgrids is expected to experience a 28% compound annual growth rate from 2020 to 2029, nearing $40 billion. That's why CleanSpark is expecting such high compound annual growth rates over the next decade. CleanSpark is a very intriguing investment opportunity. Check this out. CleanSpark recently acquired Bitcoin miner ATL data centers for $19.4 million. CleanSpark claims that they can use their microgrid technology at the ATL facility to create energy savings, expand total power capacity, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions as they mine for Bitcoin. CleanSpark also intends to quadruple the number of ASIC Bitcoin miners in operation at ATL. From December 10, 2020, the first full day of mining following the acquisition, through the end of the calendar year, which was 21 days, CleanSpark produced just over 31 Bitcoins from its mining activities, Production since the first of the year has exceeded 4.3 Bitcoins. Bitcoin prices have rapidly escalated to as high as $34,366 over the holiday weekend. The company's Bitcoin mining activities have resulted in roughly $873,000 of revenue since the closing of the transaction. It was much more when Bitcoin soared over $40,000 per coin. One final highlight for CleanSpark. In October of 2020, they announced that they have jumped into the EV charging station space with the new acquisition of GridFabric LLC. GridFabric's protocol allows EV charging companies and their customers to communicate directly with utilities, which gives utilities additional information to better manage power distribution to the grid. EV fast charging will create an additional burden on the existing aging power grid, CleanSpark said, and public utilities will likely need to upgrade their existing infrastructure and rely more on demand management program in order to handle the additional load. That's where GridFabric comes in. CleanSpark has their crosshairs on one of the hottest areas of the future economy: clean energy, Bitcoin, and EV charging. Who knows what they'll have their crosshairs on next? So there's some great information to ponder about CleanSpark. Not only are they doubling their revenue every year, now they are mining Bitcoins to add to their assets. So there you go. Let me say we are not replacing anything in our top 10 holdings with Bitcoin or CleanSpark. We are just adding them to our holdings in small amounts because we believe Bitcoin will continue to rise into the next few years and America's power grid could use some help. If you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video. What do you think about Bitcoin and CleanSpark? Let us know in the comments below. We try our very best to respond to everyone that we can. Don't forget to follow us over on Twitter at MoonShot Money 1 for daily thoughts from our team. We're not financial or tax advisors, so please do your own due diligence before you invest any hard-earned money into the markets. Earn more, save more, invest more, and give more. And always remember, if you're not interested in your money, someone else is. We'll see you next time.